Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. Today I'm joined by Rob Balducci. Rob, thanks for being here.
How you doing? Thank you so much.
You are a guitar virtuoso. You're on tour with the Night of Pure Guitar with Dave Weiner, and you're playing here at Sweetwater tonight.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's going to be going on?
Sure. Well, tonight Dave and I are doing our Night of Pure Guitar date here, and in coinciding with that, we're going to be talking about equipment that we're using, and I'm going to be talking about Morley pedals today, and because the wah is a big part of my tunes, so I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
Excellent, excellent. I want to talk more about that, but let's take a step back. You started playing guitar at about age 11, correct?
Yeah.
How did you get going and make it from there to here?
Yeah. Well. I have three older sisters, so I'm the youngest of four, and my older sister used to play acoustic guitar, so I kind of started to gravitate towards the acoustic guitar.
Right.
And you know, she started to show me a couple of chords, and I think that's what started it out. And then you know, it's funny because I still have the record, but for some reason I was a little kid and I was into Chuck Berry. And you know, they used to have those vinyl commercials that come on TV, which you can only buy through the television. Well, there was this Chuck Berry record, and I loved that walk that he did, and so I ended up asking my mother if they could order that, and I think that's really what got me into playing guitar. Right.
Well, clearly you progressed really quickly, because by 14 you were teaching lessons and you were playing in clubs.
Yeah, I ended up teaching at taking lessons at a local shop. Then I started to teach there, and you know what happened is, and I think this is good throughout your career, is if you get yourself playing with better musicians, it always makes you better. So I joined a band that had 18-year-old and 20-year-old guys in it, and I was like this little kid. And from that experience, I think it made me get better, because you're jamming with people that are better than you. Right. And it was fun because, you know, my dad would have to come because we weren't allowed into clubs. So my dad became the guy that took me to the shows and carried the equipment. But it was a lot of fun.
The chauffeur and the chaperone.
Yes.
That's awesome. Now, after that, you won the Best Guitarist in New York from Guitar for the Practicing Musician magazine.
Yes, that's a, you know, everyone says the best guitarist, but you know, it was a contest that they do. You know, these contests that they do, and I don't believe that, but the contest, that's what it was called, and it was sponsored by Guitar for the Practicing Musician and Diodario Strings, and I ended up winning that contest, and that's actually what started me to get my first endorsement. I think Diodario was the judge, and I'm still playing them to this day.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. You went to Five Towns College?
Yes.
So you have a degree in music from there?
Yeah. I studied jazz theory and composition and stuff like that, so that helped. I'm a big believer in always trying to progress. You know what I mean? You got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, how did you make the connection with Steve Vai's Favored Nations label, which is the label that you're on? Yeah.
Well, you know, the thing is, especially, you know, the music business is such a hard business, and is to do it as a sole purpose, it's very hard to break into. So what I did was, when I graduated, I wanted to go and at least get a position or a job that somehow was related to music. So I ended up working for a record company. The record company was Relativity Records. That's where Steve's records were through. Sure. So I was there I actually worked there for a long time, 13, 15 years I worked there. And I started to make connections. That's how I met my attorney that I have now. That's how that's how I ended up meeting Steve. And then it developed into a point where it was about the time when he was starting to do his Favored Nations label. And I heard, I wasn't at the working there anymore, but I heard. So I had the connection. So I wrote him an email, or I called over there and I asked if I could send something through. And it was a record called Mantra, and that was the first release that they put out. Oh, wow. And I have a new record out called Violet Horizon, so it's the third on Favored Nations, but it's my fourth CD.
I see. Now, you also have a DVD that came out recently.
Well, it actually hasn't come out yet.
It hasn't come out yet?
Yeah, it's a DVD. It's been pushed back. It's a DVD on the Rock House Method. Okay. And it talks about, you know, what I feel is important about guitar playing and covering different techniques and songwriting. I really wanted to make a DVD that I found to be interesting, because there's so much stuff out there. So I wanted to make sure it covered, having emotion in music and songwriting, not just technical ability. Because that's not. I feel that I've developed at the point where I'd rather be concentrating on songs.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Now, you've said in the past that you like your guitar melodies to be more like a vocal kind of a thing, rather than just running scales or showing off or whatever that might be. Can you talk a little bit more about how you separate a guitar melody in a song from when you go into a solo section, so that it doesn't all sound the same?
Sure. Well, you know what it is. a lot of the times when I'm writing a song, I'm not really thinking about the key that I'm in, or what mode this is, or anything like that. If I have a chord progression that's going by that I came up with, what I try and do is I try and hum what I hear in my head over the chord. So it doesn't really matter what key it's in. What you hear in your head is going to come out, is going to be in the right key, because you never could. It's true. You're never going to hum inside your own head in the wrong key. So then you transfer it to the guitar. So that's sort of what I do. I try and get a melody that's hummable, and then I transfer it to the guitar. And then you got to edit yourself, because sometimes you come up with a melody and you don't need as many notes to get the idea to come across.
Right.
So I think that's the best way to do it, because it's always something simple that people are going to remember.
Sure.
And what I try and do is, when I listen to this stuff, I want people to come away from my concerts and performances with melodies in your head.
Sure.
And that's what I judge my material by. That's what I judge other people's material by too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, as part of both self-promotion and I assume giving back as well, you're doing a lick of the week on YouTube.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I started this a while ago, and it's just something that I do each week. And it could be either a live performance thing for one of my shows, or I'll talk about product that I'm using, different pedals. I'll talk about songwriting techniques. Maybe I'll talk about the writing the melody like we just spoke about.
Sure.
So it varies from week to week, and sometimes I suggest people to email and suggestions, and I go from that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. I've watched several of them. They're really well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, part of why you're here is on behalf of Morley.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the pedals you're using and why you choose those pedals?
Sure. Well, I'm using the Bad Horsey 2, but I do use a variety of different pedals that they have. But
okay.
The Bad Horsey 2 is great because it has two switching modes. It has the contour and then the Bad Horsey mode, and it's great because you could really dial in your own tones, so it's unique. So if you, in the contour tone, you can kind of make the signal a little bit more bassy. So if you want to get that bassier wah sound,
right.
Or if you want to make it cut through, you can contour in you put in some high end.
Right.
So really, what it does is, if I play through the wah and another guitar play through the wah, we can it's going to sound different. It's not going to have the same tone quality, which I think is really unique, because you can tailor your own sound from it.
Right. You can really customize your own voice with the pedal.
Yeah, it's very important.
Right.
Yeah.
We can't wait to hear it tonight.
Oh, thank you so much.
So excited to have you here. Rob, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Mitch Gallagher. Thanks for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute.